Bad agent hires lead to bad home buying experiences. Today I'm sharing 5 questions to ask your buyer agent before you make your hiring decision to weed out liars and incompetence. This isn't the fluffy stuff you find on the web. These are very specific questions designed to elucidate the exact information you need to pick the spot-on right agent for your unique circumstances. And stick around because I also have tips for finding agents to interview and tips for streamlining your interview process. Interviewing agents can feel intimidating. I make it easy. My name is Tracy Thrower Conyers, longtime broker, former consumer fraud attorney, and zealous homebuyer advocate. Let's talk about how to find you your own zealous homebuyer advocate. One of the biggest mistakes I see homebuyers make is not interviewing multiple agents, and sometimes not even interviewing the one they hire. What? This is crazy to me, but I think it comes from the old thinking that if you don't have to pay for the agent, why should you care how good they are? Hopefully, with buyers under the new rules now having to think about their agent and their agent's compensation early in the process, they will also get serious about who they're hiring. All of that is to say that I highly recommend that you interview not 1, but 3 or more agents. Interviewing multiple agents will give you more insights into the home buying process than any Zillow article you could ever read. And you'll have more choices for picking the exact right agent for your unique situation. But Tracy, where do I find all these agents who won't waste my time? I know it sounds like a tall order to find and interview multiple candidates, and I cover this topic in some detail in my Buyer Agent Game Plan course. But let's just say for today that asking for recommendations on social media is a strategy with a lot of pitfalls and booby traps. I can personally help you find agents in your area, and the agents that I turn up will be highly qualified. Look for the link to this service in the video description. But even before you interview your first agent, you need to think about your budget, your target neighborhoods, target property types, and timeline for buying. Because one huge goal in the interviewing process is to match an agent with the expertise that you need, not the expertise that your best friend who recommended the agent thought was important. An agent who is good for you is 10 times better than just a good agent. In fact, getting ready to interview is so critical, I developed a special Get Ready checklist bundle to help buyers define their needs, resources, and objectives. This is a bundle of resources specifically designed to help buyers really think through what they have and what they need to get them ready to interview agents and buy a home. Regarding interview questions, I have a list of 16 core questions and want to touch on my favorite 5 today. Some of my questions are trick questions, and I'll explain more about that in a minute. All are designed to get to the heart of whether the agent is right for you or whether they're trying to BS you. The first question is whether the agent has ever been fired by a client. This question gets right to the heart of whether an agent is going to be difficult to work with. Maybe there's a valid story behind the firing. You'll have to dig in on that if you like the agent, but naturally this is a red flag if it's ever happened. It takes a lot for somebody to be mad enough at their agent to actually fire them. I looked at dozens of interview question lists online, and not one bothered to ask this question. Isn't this something you would want to know? What else is missing from those internet lists? Skip them and use mine based on my long experience advocating for buyers. Question number 2. How will you decide which properties I'll see? Listen very carefully to the answer. This is one of the trick questions I mentioned a minute ago. The agent should never be deciding which properties you're going to see. You should be deciding. Be very suspicious about any agent that's a little too enthusiastic about telling you how it's going to be. What you need for your best home buying outcome is for you to be defining your needs upfront to the agent, with the agent forwarding all properties that match your defined criteria. And this gets back to the importance of being ready. If you can't define your needs to this agent, you're going to find the agent taking over the process, and that may not end up well for you. You certainly don't want any agent who's going to hold back lower priced properties because the commission is going to be lower. No, you are looking for an agent who's going to listen very hard to what you want and then send you every property and let you decide whether you want to see it or not. Question number 3. How do you stay updated on the local market? Notice the question is not whether you stay updated. That would be a yes or no answer. But this question is asking about the specifics of how. If an agent cannot describe any kind of workflow for staying updated, this is a big red flag. A related or follow-up question is to ask whether your target neighborhood is a buyer's market or a seller's market. If the agent can't answer this question, this is another huge red flag because the answer literally dictates your offer and negotiation strategy. You need an agent who understands what your target market looks like. And this is a big reason why I'm always advocating that home buyers hire agents with exact experience in the target market. Not just a general buyer's agent, but somebody who really understands the neighborhood where you want to buy. Before we move on to the next question, I want to emphasize the importance of going through this exercise of identifying and interviewing multiple agents. If you don't, you lose the insights of several local experts and knowledge that comes from a diversity of answers to your questions. You don't want just any agent. You want the right agent who understands you, your buying objectives, and is a hyper-local expert in your target market. There is a unicorn just like this out there. It's up to you to identify this person. A bad agent can lead to devastating consequences, from losing out on homes you love to overpaying for mediocre homes. Homebuyer remorse is a real thing, and it's been on the increase in the last few years. I don't want this for you, and I'm sure you don't want it for yourself. Do your homework up front and set yourself up for success. Question number 4. What are your opinions about dual agency? Be wary of any agent who thinks dual agency is okay. This is the sign of an agent who doesn't value your success over his or her commission. Even if the candidate you're interviewing is not part of the listing agent's team, blessing dual agency in any capacity might mean the agent doesn't have the right mindset to rigorously protect your interests and negotiating position. I talked about dual agency in my recent video regarding 5 lies that real estate agents tell home buyers. I linked this video in the description. Question number 5. How will you make my offers stand out? Even in a robust buyer's market where buyers are calling all the shots, you still want an agent who has strategies for putting your best foot forward. If you're competing against even just one other buyer and your offer is sloppy, the listing agent is going to be telling the seller that you and your agent are going to be difficult to work with to close the deal. Sellers care a lot about closing deals, and the sooner the better. Pick an agent who understands the importance of making you look good and can articulate sample strategy to do the same. Those are my 5 favorite core interview questions from my list of 16. Get the rest of the list in my fast action workbook titled Agent Interview Questions and Spreadsheet. In that resource, I walk you through setting up the interviews, the questions to ask, and a spreadsheet and strategy for scoring candidate responses. Does interviewing multiple agents sound intimidating? In the video on your screen, I describe a drop-dead simple system for finding agents, picking candidates to interview, scheduling and juggling interviews, and evaluating the results and picking an agent to hire. Don't look at a single home until you watch this video. You'll thank me later.